Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Recapitulation. First of all, let us remind of the previous lectures, the previous two lectures. In the second lecture, we started communication, we defined communication, and then we studied that there are two types of communication: verbal communication and non-verbal communication. In verbal communication, we discussed that there are two types, subtypes of verbal communication. Those are the oral and written communications. Now, in non-verbal communication, we studied that in this type of communication, we use body movements, including postures, gestures, signals, graphs, and caricatures. Now, look at the line that is further divided into three types. That the nonverbal signals reflect the situation more accurately than verbal messages. Now, nonverbal communication has further been divided into three types. The first one is appearance, and then body language and sounds. Appearance. In appearance, what we see by the word appearance, we mean speakers, clothing, appearance and speakers. So we see the speakers, clothing, hairstyle, neatness, use of cosmetics, surrounding. In surrounding is another subheading under the main heading, that is appearance. So in the first case, we studied that the speaker's clothing, hairstyle, neatness, use of cosmetics we see. Now in surrounding that what is around us, that is room size, lighting, decoration, furnishings. These also have some meaning for us to conceive. Now, body language, facial expressions, gestures and postures. In body language, we use our facial expressions, our gestures and postures. Gestures is the movement of the body, and postures mean when we point to an object, clear, or when we draw a caricature, a sketch of something, so that also keep some meaning. Then sounds, voice, tone and volume. When we make some voice tone, by the voice tone we mean that the rise and fall of voice, as we studied in the previous lectures, that I had given you examples that my grandpa bought me a new coat, and then we read the same sentence in another tone, that was my grandpa bought me a new black coat. So we sometimes rise our voice, and sometimes we slow down our voice to have meaning. Then volume also. Volume is the rise and fall of voice, especially the rise of voice. Types of communication based on purpose and style. Now it's another heading. It may come in the paper as a separate question, that how many types of communication are there on the basis of purpose and style. So when we communicate, we do have a purpose, and we follow and adopt a particular style. So those two are formal and informal. So in formal communication, certain rules, conventions and principles are followed while communicating message. So what are those rules which we follow while communicating with others? So formal communication occurs in formal and official style. This is that type of communication which we use formally and in official style. What do we mean by formal and official style? This is the academic language. This is the language of the learned people. Now, usually academic writing, professional settings, a conference, etc. undergo a formal pattern. So it is all about the study environment, the job environments. It is referred to by using these words. Informal communication, use of slang and foul language is avoided. Slang means the language that we use that we use in the conversation among our fellows, or in parlors, or in casual talking. And also foul language. By the foul language, that is obscure language, is avoided. By foul we mean that language which is not much needed, that language, and correct pronunciation is required. So in formal communication, we should avoid use of slang and foul language, and we should also avoid wrong pronunciation. Now come to the second one, informal communication. Informal communication is done using channels that are in contrast with formal communication channels. Now there's a difference. This is opposite to formal communication. In informal, we may use slang, we may use foul language, and we may use casual language, because this is just the opposite to formal communication. It's just a casual talk. It is established for societal affiliations of members in an organization and face-to-face discussions. For example, we have an organization, and that organization is in our village for the welfare of the village. So sometimes we may become frank with one another. So this is what we mean by this sentence. It happens among friends and family. It happens among friends and family. In informal communication, use of slang words, foul language is not restricted. As I earlier told in the beginning of the paragraph, that foul language and slang words are used. Usually informal communication is done orally and using gestures. Usually informal communication is done orally and using gestures. We use both body language and the use of words.